Wait. This is a Shakey Head worm. That's a Ned Rig. Dude, here, there are 3 Ned Heads right here. And there's a Shakey Head. Huh. That kind of reminds me of something called winter fishing. Or spring, or summer, or fall. It honestly doesn't matter. So this video, as you can tell by the title, is here to give you a consensus of should you pick this plus this, right? This plus this, or one of these 3 plus this right here. And we'll pick this one. So what's best, Ned Rig or Shakey Head? Well, I would suppose it depends. The way I'm going to tackle this video is give you scenarios right here. So obviously we're going to have one. Ideally, for both of these techniques, you're trying to be finessey. However, on a Shakey Head, you can throw 7.5-inch trick worms, 10-inch trick worms. And it's not necessarily going to be very finessey, but it can be finessey for a big bass. And that is actually kind of a thing, as crazy as it sounds. You think you can't finesse a big bait, but you realistically can. So on a Shakey Head, or obviously, you can throw your 4-inch trick worms. Those should be 4 inches. Zoom, trick worm, finesse worm, whatever you want to call it. It's in green pumpkin magic. Or you have your magnum trick worms, your just bigger trick worms in black, which you can finesse, but it's not what you think of when you think of a finesse bait. You're more so going to think of this. But if you're trying to do something in between both of them, that's what you can do. Throw something like this. Essentially a trick worm just with a tail. You all might remember these. These are an old timer's favorite, from my understanding. I recommend a Shakey Head around cover. What else? Wood. Especially wood, as a matter of fact. The thing with Ned Rig is that even though it is stupidly light, 1/16 of an ounce, it will still get pulled into wood. It doesn't matter. You will still get hung up with a Ned. So, where I would say a Ned Rig excels over a Shakey Head is in creek fishing. But I would honestly argue if you are creek fishing with either one of these, you should probably go to a tube. But that's another discussion. So, if you could tell, what I just said was essentially throw a Shakey Head around wood and cover. It's going to set you up the best. However, if you are just trying to get a bite from an area that you're just trying to search out, guess what you should throw? A Shakey Head. Still should throw a Shakey Head. Just for the reason of, it's not that it's going to displace, well, it will displace more water, but a bass is going to be able to hone in on it from further. A Ned Rig is 2.75 inches, or 3 inches. To be finessey with the Shakey Head, you can go down 4 inches, which is what this is, or even more, in all honesty. Where I say a Ned Rig shines is it is, in the end, more finessey than a trick worm. Shakey Head, no matter what. If you are going to a pressured pond, like let's just say a pond that 12 neighborhoods share, and it's a tiny pond, go Ned Rig. That's going to set you up the best. If you know where the fish are and you're trying to catch them, go Ned Rig. If you are fishing for smallmouth, go Ned Rig. There's distinct qualities to each of these, but the Ned is definitely going to have slower fall too. So if you are fishing shallower, I would recommend a Ned, because if you're fishing shallower, you probably have the fish relatively dialed in. Also, you have a lot more variation with a Ned in terms of weights you can go with. Not that you can't throw bigger or smaller Shakey Heads in terms of weight, but there comes a point where, why are you throwing a 3/8 ounce Shakey Head, 1/4 ounce Shakey Head? If you're doing that, that's because you're trying to fish out deep. Just throw a jig. Just throw a jig or something. Or throw something weaveless like a Texas rig. It really boils down to preference, but A shaky head just isn't going to produce quality of bites unless it is a bigger shaky head worm. But in a finesse application, it's either you go small, or you go big, or you go home. That's what I say. And you don't go big for finesse, but I was just saying that. So what would I pick if I had to fish somewhere very pressured? Ned Rig. Caught fish on Ned Rigs, shaky heads. And I honestly pick the Ned Rig over it. There's even weedless options for a Ned Rig. But the issue with those is these Z-Mans are so soft that it's honestly hard to, if you're going to text pose said weedless Ned Rigs, they make those Ned heads, they're weedless, it's going to be hard to get a hookup. On an exposed head, like this right here, you'll get a hookup every single time. Light wire hook, you can get it in a relatively heavier wire if you wanted. Over here, obviously you still have to be able to set the hook through a text-posed, or maybe not text-posed, but buried hook. But it's easily doable. The issue I see though is if you are really fishing for finicky fish, and this is the main thing I want you all to take from this video, is a small bass or a small medium bass, they're going to take a second to eat this. Especially on a really big trick worm, it's going to take them, you're going to have to give them, I know this sounds insane, anywhere from 10 to 15 seconds. Possibly more. Here, you got to give them a good solid 5 seconds. The other day, I decided, hey, I'm going to give a fish about 3 seconds. I felt the bite, and I was just kind of let them have it. About 1, 2. And I set the hook on 3. Nothing. No dice. So you got to let the fish have it. And that can be an issue if you are fishing a pressured pond. Because once a bass grabs it, and, you know, they just have the tail, and then they realize, hey, this thing isn't alive. They drop it. You set the hook in the water. Boom. Nothing. So that's why I would ultimately choose a Ned Rig over Shakey Head. And it's just for that reason. On a Ned Rig, you can even get spicy. In the fall, when a lot of shad are balling up, or late summer. Late summer when late summer. Going into the fall transition, when there's a possibility shad are dying off, you can take a Zoom tiny fluke, toss it on a Ned Rig. You can hop it up and down, hop it up and down. You can throw it out on points. Although, I would recommend a Shaky Head for points, just saying. But, aside from that, you have a lot more variation on what you can put on a Ned Rig than on a Shaky Head. You can throw a minnow imitation, shad imitation, crawdad imitation, goby, baitfish imitation, perch imitation, anything. I don't know what this is trying to do. It's not a bad thing. Well, let me think of a good example. Obviously, a spinnerbait is here to mimic a bait fish, but some people literally throw black and blue spinnerbaits. That's pretty odd combo, but bass eat it. So I don't think that's necessarily an issue. But for example, hot crawl Ned Rig in a freaking creek, that's gonna tear them up. If you have the bass dialed in on a main lake point and you're just trying to catch numbers or catch them because you're with a kid or you just want to catch bass, this is going to produce more fish than this. And even then, this isn't going to get you any more quality of a bite than this. Now, stepping up something like this will definitely get you a much bigger bite than a Ned Rig. But there are also Magnum Ned Rig options, 4-inch Ned Rigs. Heck, let's see. There's probably Cincos out there that you could toss on. Z-Man makes their big turd. So that's just what I say. So in the end, guys, I would choose a Ned Rig over a Shaky Head in the majority of scenarios. Because a lot of the times when you're finesse fishing, you're not necessarily finesse fishing in cover. You might be finesse fishing around cover, but not in cover. You're not pitching into cover like you would be with 1/2 ounce jig, 3/8 ounce flipping jig, Texas rig, punching rig, Cinco. You're not doing that. You're looking at a log and you're literally tossing a Ned Rig about 20, 30 feet behind it and just working it past that log about 2 feet away from it. And boom, you get bit. Ned Rig just does get bit. It is phenomenal. So that's my consensus, guys. I hope this helped you all. If the video did help, give it a like. If you hated it because I can't keep the camera steady on what I'm talking about, and I sound like a 15-year-old, because I am, give it a dislike. But if this helped you and you liked it, I guess share it. Subscribe if you enjoyed the video. And I don't know. I'm just happy I could help. Hope you all enjoyed this. Hope it helps. I'll see you all next video. It's Bluegrass Passing. Goodbye.